Okay, so today we're going to take a look at something pretty wild, honestly.
Yeah. Hmm.
We're going to be talking about the California wildfires and the aid that's been going around surrounding that.
Right.
And there's a condition for it that's being proposed, and we're going to get into all the nitty-gritty based on an analysis by the Ring of Fire YouTube channel.
Yeah. So it's a pretty interesting discussion going on between Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson and some members of the press. And the real heart of it is this potential condition on the federal wildfire relief money that could be going to California.
So for you, the listener, the main thing here is this idea that there's a connection or somebody's trying to make a connection between essential disaster aid
Right.
and a totally separate political matter.
Yeah.
So the video is highlighting the suggestion that in order for California to receive these federal funds to recover from these horrible wildfires, they have to implement voter ID.
And, the question that comes to mind right away is what does one have to do with the other?
Right. What is the connection? Like, how is ensuring voter identification at the polls going to help communities rebuild after wildfires?
Exactly.
So that's what we're going to dig into. According to the Ring of Fire, the whole thing started when CNN's Manu Raju asked Speaker Johnson a question.
Okay.
And it was pretty direct. He straight up asked if Johnson would say, hey, you need voter ID if you want this wildfire aid.
Wow.
And he even mentioned that former President Trump had said something similar in the past.
Also, he's really putting it out there like, is this politically motivated or not?
Right, bringing Trump into it right away.
Yeah.
So how did Speaker Johnson respond to this very pointed question?
Yeah. What did he say?
Well, he said he needed to chat with the president about it some more since they had a meeting coming up.
Okay.
But then he kind of shifted gears and started talking about how long it took to count the ballots in California in the last election.
Interesting. So he didn't exactly answer the voter ID question. He
Right.
just brought up a whole other thing. So is he implying that California needs to speed up their ballot counting if they want that aid?
That's what it sounds like. And to back that up, he even mentioned that House Republicans think they lost 3 seats because of how long it took to count votes in California.
Huh. So he's using those potentially lost seats as a reason to put conditions on the wildfire aid.
That seems to be the case.
Wow.
But here's where the Ring of Fire host jumps in. And they have a pretty strong counter-argument. They
Yeah?
say, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Showing an ID to get a ballot doesn't actually affect how fast the votes are counted.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Right, it's like 2 totally separate things.
Right. One happens before you even vote and the other happens way after.
Exactly. The video host really drives this point home, saying, hey, this is just common sense. These issues are completely separate.
I mean, it's like saying the type of pen you use to fill out the ballot will affect how fast they can count the votes.
It just doesn't make sense.
Exactly. And the video goes on to talk about the bigger picture here.
Oh.
It argues that this whole idea of tying aid to something completely unrelated is something Republicans tend to do, especially when it comes to California and their more liberal policies.
And they even say they haven't seen Democrats do the same thing.
Right. Like, have we ever seen a Democratic administration tell a red state, hey, you have to adopt a liberal policy if you want help after a hurricane?
Right, exactly. It makes you think about the real reasons behind these demands. Are they actually trying to solve the problem, or is it just a power play?
Yeah, what's the true motivation here?
And the host of the Ring of Fire definitely has strong opinions about it.
Yeah, I bet.
They call this whole thing cruel, disgusting even, and they say it's typical Republican behavior.
Wow, so they're not holding back at all.
Not even a little bit.
It's clear where they stand.
Absolutely. So let's bring it back to the main issue here, voter ID.
Right.
The host keeps hammering this point that voter ID has nothing to do with helping people who have lost everything in these fires.
Right. They need food, water, shelter, not a new voting system.
Exactly. And preventing future fires has nothing to do with voter ID either.
It's just such a weird connection to make.
Right. And the Ring of Fire analysis goes on to criticize the media, saying they're not calling this out enough.
Oh, interesting. So they're saying the media isn't doing enough to hold these politicians accountable.
Right. They're letting them get away with this kind of stuff.
It's a good point to consider.
Absolutely. And to wrap things up, the video host says this isn't even the first time this has happened.
What do you mean?
They claim there were similar situations during Trump's presidency where wildfire aid was linked to other demands.
Wow, so this is a pattern.
According to the video, it is at least when it comes to California and Republican administrations.
So this analysis from the Ring of Fire really lays out this whole controversy pretty clearly.
Right. They're saying, hey, is it really fair to use disaster relief as leverage to push a political agenda?
Especially when people are suffering and need immediate help.
Exactly. It raises a lot of questions about priorities and what's really going on in our political system.
Yeah, it makes you think, Like, what are the long-term consequences of this kind of behavior?
Totally. Does it erode trust in government? Does it make it harder to actually help people in need?
So many things to consider.
It's a complex situation with no easy answers, but hopefully this deep dive has given you some food for thought.
Absolutely, and encourage you to stay informed and engaged.
Because these are the kinds of issues that affect us all.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.